I've had some people asking me if I've abandoned Manchester Piccadilly and why am I building the smaller stations. So I think it's time for a layout explanation. So stay tuned and all will be revealed. Well, good morning everyone and welcome back to Piccadilly. Now, that was pretty much the scene that you saw at the end of the last video and the work that I'd achieved at Dinting Station. And there were a few comments saying pretty much, well, why are you building Dinting? And have you abandoned Manchester Piccadilly? Well, clearly not. That's still there. But I thought there's obviously a few people sort of joined the channel since I did an explanation of how the layout works. So I think it's probably time that I do that again. Manchester Piccadilly is always going to be the centre or the main part of the layout without any shadow of doubt, but it serves so many places. Now, when I built the layout, I always wanted to have the idea that trains go somewhere and have that sense of journey. Now, there is an element of roundy, as you can see. The main line just goes round and round and round. And to some degree, there's not a massive amount I can do about that. I can't model London Euston. I just haven't got the space as much as I would love to. I'd love to model Milton Keynes and Bletchley and Rugby and all the stations along the route, but it's feasibly not possible. So I have to take elements of it. So a mainline train coming out of Piccadilly will go round and round and then come out on this line and then go into the carriage shed, which is over there. Okay, the building without the roof, which will be done eventually. So that is my faux London Euston, if you like. Obviously, that's not a platform. It's not a station as such. It's a carriage shed. But then trains will then come back out of that, come down the same line, and then cross over just there. And then when they come out, they go out of that line and come back into Manchester Piccadilly. Now, you might say to me, well, why have I built New Mill Central and then Dinting? Well, in reality, there are 6 lines forming outside Manchester Piccadilly. Obviously, once we've gone through all the 14 platforms, they all divide down. It goes into 6 lines, which carries on for quite a while. And then 2 lines sort of separate off and go up the branch lines, if you like. So I can't model 6 lines, so I've modelled 4. So these 4 lines then go round to join varying places. These first 2 lines go into the main line, and as I've just explained, go down that way and go and join over there. Okay, you probably can just about make that out. But also, these 2 lines go off up the branch line, which goes around the back, behind the carriage shed, up over there, through the tunnel, and comes out on this raised line here. Now, you'll notice it's double track up to that point, and then it goes into single track. And the reason for that is because many main lines in Manchester are a single track. So when we had the idea of creating a reverse loop, or somebody suggested creating a reverse loop, it seemed perfectly obvious to make it a single track. So obviously these 2 points are adjusted according to which line they come up and which line they're going down and which way they're going to go on this way. So if a train is coming up this line, effectively it goes over the top of Manchester Piccadilly because this is a different zone. And then it will go past some trees, which will be here. This will be Glossop, and then go round there into that bit over there where the 220 is, and that will be Hadfield. And the opposite way, obviously, if a train's coming this way, it's going to Glossop, goes around that way, and comes into Glossop down here where those 2 carriages are. Now, you might be thinking, well, what about New Mill Central? Because it's in a similar area, but it goes off on a different track. And effectively, it would come off much further down the line here. If I'm remembering correctly, the line diverts off way before dinting. So this is where compromises come in. There's always a compromise with the model railway. So it'll still come down here as if it's going to Hadfield, but instead of going straight on into there, it will come around and into New Mill Central, which is over there. So yes, there are lots of stations which are fairly close together, but the way the train is running will hopefully create the idea that it's going past trees and countryside and things like that, and it won't be immediately obvious. Now, I'm hoping that if you didn't know New Mill Central was there, you perhaps wouldn't know New Mill Central was there because of all the trees behind it, in front of it. So that's part of the plan. And in the same way, when I've done this, I am thinking of widening that probably by about another inch, this edge, and putting a tree line down that way as well. And there'll be a tree line coming round this way, and so on and so on and so on. So the whole idea is that it creates the illusion that each station is actually miles and miles apart. And I mean, obviously in reality, Dinting is less than a foot away from Manchester Piccadilly. But the fact that the train has to go all the way around and so on gives that impression that it's actually going miles and miles and miles. So hopefully that explains pretty much where I'm coming from. And obviously then when a train is coming back, it will go back down on the left-hand line, which is the nearer one, and then comes back on this line and then goes to whatever platform it will be in there. So hopefully that gives an idea of the type of thing that I'm going to be doing. So my plan, if I can pull it off now, because the time is obviously dramatically shortened, is to complete Dinting, Hadfield and Glossop. And I was also having the idea, there is a viaduct coming into Dinting Station. Well, to remove some of this area here to create the start of the viaduct up to the edge of the tunnel, and then obviously just create the faux viaduct just a little bit further on beyond the tunnel edge there, and again just mask it all with trees, and hopefully that will then create the illusion that the mill, where the big yellow sticker is, will be in a separate zone, effectively, that the railway line won't come near it and you won't see the railway line from the mill, except coming out of New Mill Central, which is just over there. And so that brings us on to Dinting itself. Now, as you can appreciate, this is a modified version of the actual station and not a detailed scale model by any means. One, it's nowhere near big enough and you have to work with the space you've got. But the landscape is ever so slightly different. As somebody pointed out in the comments, we've got this track. Well, this track actually goes straight ahead like that. And this track curves around like that and goes off back that way. And there is another track which then joins up with this one and comes around here and joins up with this one as it's just come round here. So you can appreciate that's going to be a lot more complicated, because obviously I need this line to go that way because it's got to clear the main line. And not only that, it gives me space to use that area over there for Glossop. So I'm a little bit restricted in the sense of the layout, but it's actually a reverse, if you notice why I'm saying it. This bit goes straight on and that bit's curved. So in theory, there should be a line going that way, but I'm not going to put that in because it would make it very much more difficult. This line would come in probably about here, and then it'd be very sharp to get joined up with there, and it wouldn't be worth it. And this would be even smaller than it is now. So as for the road, excuse my finger, there's obviously this road coming in and then going up that way, but this road sort of follows down here with the line of the track. Okay, there is this is a complete bridge which then crosses over both sides of the railway lines as one kind of bridge with two openings, if you like. But I can't put that in either. The reason being is because we've got the main line down here. And obviously this is a lower level and the bridge would come in sort of over this track. And if I had a bridge here, which I'm going to, because obviously I can't just have a wooden opening, it's got to be a proper bridge, and another bridge here, that would look ridiculous. So I've never seen that happen at all, where you got two tracks sort of running like that and then another bridge down below. So that's not going to be, so I've had to modify the layout ever so slightly. But it's not too far off. And hopefully those people who've been to the station will kind of recognise the layout. Basically, you've got this big familiar road coming down the middle. It's nowhere near long enough, but nevertheless, it will give the idea of what the station is going to be like. I've already started preparing the ground ready for this bit. You can see I've just dug out the ground a little bit there so that the building can sit more flat. And there'll be another building around about this area here, which will be a lot smaller than that one. But all that's in the next video. So hopefully that makes things a little bit clearer about my intentions. Okay, speak soon. Well, hope you've enjoyed hearing about how the layout works, my intentions for how it's going to run, that sort of thing, but also future plans for the layouts, just as a bit of a reminder for some of you. But I've decided I'm going to leave this video here now. I was going to put in the Dinting station build as well, but to be honest with you, this is already just over 10 minutes and I'd rather just have it as a separate video. So join me on that one, which will hopefully be posted very shortly if it's not already there by now. Okay, take care of yourself and I'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.